Hi, I'm David Langton, Technical Product Manager for Matillion ETL for Redshift. Today I'm going to look at using Matillion ETL for Redshift to make use of Amazon Redshift Spectrum so that we can analyse datasets stored in S3 alongside datasets stored in Redshift seamlessly and at scale. Let's get started. So the job we're going to look at today is this job. It's already set up, it already runs, and we're loading the cases and the accounts from Salesforce into Redshift. And once they're in Redshift, we're going to do a little light transformation to join them together, apply a filter, and write the data back out. And right now, this job works, but it's not using Spectrum at all. So we're going to change it so that it is, both for the inputs and the outputs eventually. So let's get going. The very first thing we need to do is make sure that our Redshift cluster can use the Spectrum service. So what you actually need to do is hop over to IAM and create a role. That role needs to access Athena because that's where Spectrum will store its catalog, and it needs to access whichever parts of S3 you want it to, but it'll need to read and write data in those locations. So the full access here is obviously going to work fine, but you can be more fine-grained with this if you need to. And once that role exists, you'll also want to head over to the Redshift part of the dashboard and associate that role with the cluster you're going to use. And that's it. We can now start back in Matillion referencing data on S3. So the way that's done is via an external schema. So if we hop back to Matillion, if we go to the environments tree, the environment we're interested in, we can do create external schema. The external schema is the name that Redshift will use to refer to these tables. The data catalog gets created over in Athena, and the roll on is the thing we just created in order to let Redshift use Spectrum. And what you'll see now is we have a new schema. We can tell it's an external schema, and currently there are no tables in it. So let's get this data stage working so that it puts the data into this schema instead of the existing Redshift one. Now the external schema exists, that's actually really easy. I can come and modify my existing job, and if I change the type in the data stager from standard to external, then all of my options for sort and distribution keys actually disappear because they're not relevant for external tables. But I can pick my external schema, give it a target table name, excellent, and the only other thing it needs is a location to put the data in. Now the actual location will be the path to S3 that we put here, then the target table name will be appended to that path, and the data files will go under there. And now I just need to make the exact same changes to the accounts data source. So let me quickly do that. Great, and let's just rerun these two components, and that'll give us the data to work with. Now that data stage, of course, it's in a different schema, so if we hop over to the transformation job, we can change the inputs for these two tables, but nothing else should need to change because the schema for the tables should be the same. So let's just change these over. Now that it's been changed over, the rest of the job doesn't have to be changed. The SQL is all compatible. What you will notice is on the plan, the way this query is going to be ran is very different. And you'll see some new plan nodes in there that explicitly mention S3. And that's whenever Redshift is calling out to Spectrum to get data from external places. But we don't have to stop there. Just because the input data is now on Spectrum, we can write the data back out to Spectrum as well. And our rewrite external table component works exactly the same way as the rewrite table, but it lands the data in S3 and creates a compatible table over it. And when I run this job, it's going to put the data into Redshift and into Spectrum. If we take a quick look over at S3, you'll see that each table is represented by a folder, and in each folder are the data files that represent that data set. Whenever you do a rewrite table or a data stage, the folder will be emptied, so make sure that there's nothing important in there before you run the job. Also over in Athena, if I switch the database to the catalog we just created, you can see the same tables that Redshift sees in Athena. All of our data staging components support Spectrum, so although I use Salesforce as an example here, you could actually use any. So we've seen how to stage data into Spectrum, and also how to write the result of a transformation into Spectrum. Matillion gives you the tools to try out Spectrum quickly and easily, and we'd love to hear from you on how Spectrum is helping you make the most from your Redshift environment.
Great stuff. So hopefully that'll help you get even more mileage out of your existing investment in AWS and Redshift. And in the future, we hope to offer even more features in this area, like table partitioning. If you want any more information, head over to matillion.com or start a free trial on AWS Marketplace today.